recognizing that there is some higher power, some divine presence that is orchestrating life as it is. And so, can I trust that even if this big, huge wave hits me, and that I'm gonna be okay? That trusting piece feels to me like that's the game changer. If I'm not living in that space, in that state of mind of trusting, then I'm living in the opposite state of mind. And the not trusting, to me, it shows up more like I'm going to try to manipulate situation because I don't trust it's going to work out without my mind, my logic, my opinions, my wisdom.
Trust is built within ourselves. It's no different than learning to trust another human. So it needs to be tested and tried, and we find it through that self integrity, self accountability, self responsibility. Lack of trust is chasing, getting, grabbing, controlling. We would have to control. If we're
Yeah.
not trusting and we're fearing outcomes, well, I mean, it's math. We have to control, because how else are we possibly going to not go completely insane?
Health is abundant all the time. The cells are regenerating. If you're lacking health, where in your mind is a construct that tells you that there is lack of health? The healing actually happens in that pause, in that quiet time, in that space where you allow to perceive, like, who are you?
Gratitude is the biggest, broadest, widest open door. Like, to me, that's the quickest route, because it automatically places you in that trusting state of love.
Hello, beautiful souls, curious minds. Welcome back to another Awake and Aware podcast session. In today's session, Tammy and I are going to talk about trust. Trusting the self, trusting the nature of life, trusting that something supports us, trusting that we are where we need to be, when we need to be, and how not trusting that there is some sort of divine order that's orchestrating this life that we're living brings us basically into resistance to life, from which, of course, a lot of negativity and fear comes out. And so, what is it really that allows us to trust, to be in that frequency, in that vibration of trusting? So, let's get the conversation started, and please help me welcome Tammy back. Tammy, welcome back.
Thank
Love to
you.
have you here as usually. Good to see you again. In today's episode, I wanted to talk briefly about trusting and what it really means for typical human. Like, when I say I trust something that's going to happen for me, when I trust that, or when I don't trust, on a contrary, what would have to be within me in order for me to be able to say, I trust that that's happening for me. I trust that that's going to work out. I trust that it's going to be okay, right? What state of mind, what state of being do I have to be in to be able to say that and live in that frequency? And this is something I wanted to open a conversation with and see where that rolls from there on.
Mm.
So, in my life personally, in my conscious beingness, the trusting
Hmm.
has shifted, and understanding of the trusting has shifted at some point in my later 20s, I would say. And recognizing that there is some higher power, some divine presence that is orchestrating life as it is. And yes, I have some control over this little sandbox of my life, and I can play in that kind of thing. But the bigger lessons that are coming my way, I don't see them ever really. It's like we were just saying that the bigger wave is coming, and sometimes you don't see the wave is like in the ocean. It's kind of smaller, but as it gets closer, it like gathers a little bit more power, and then ends up being a big wave, and you didn't see it coming, kind of thing. And so, can I trust that even if this big, huge wave hits me, and that I'm gonna be okay? Yeah, sure. I
Mm.
could be frantically running away from it. I could be trying to protect myself somehow. Not wrong, not right. It just is whatever behavior I choose is appropriate. But
Mm.
that trusting piece feels to me like that's the game changer. If I'm not living in that space, in that state of mind of trusting, then I'm living in the opposite state of mind of obviously not trusting. And the not trusting, to me, it shows up more like I'm going to try to manipulate situation because I don't trust it's going to work out without my mind, my logic, my opinions, my wisdom, whatever, right? So it seems like there
Mhm.
has to be a human intervention. And granted, sometimes there has to be, or it's probably good that there is human intervention. But a lot of
Right.
times I feel like the trusting isn't there, and we end up getting ourselves into more difficult situations than we would otherwise if we were to allow the trusting to be there. How do you feel about that?
I feel like trust is possible from a place of surrender, surrendered balance, because that's the surrender and balance is a sturdy foundation. So if I'm on a sturdy foundation and life comes at me, a situation, something that isn't maybe what I would have desired, or maybe it's difficult. If I'm surrendered and in trust of my being, because I've done the practices, because I've, the truth, the genuine authenticity of who I am and how I sort of navigate my life and who I am, if that is in that surrendered, balanced state of trust, my awareness is broader. And so I'm going to be aware of, before we got on, I use the analogy of waves. Like, so if I'm walking into the ocean and I'm respecting of the ocean, I know there's going to be waves. I know that, they could be dangerous. They could, I could be harmed. My awareness would look and say, oh, a small wave. Oh, I can hop over that one, or I can just stand still. It won't bother me. But the bigger they are, they require action. But if I'm centered and balanced, I'm going to look and see, oh, that's a pretty big wave. I'm not going to jump over. I'm going to duck. I'm going to go under that one because I can't jump over it. So trust is, it's a complete knowing, not that that nothing bad is going to happen, or even that everything's going to be okay, because it might not be okay. Might have a crisis, but still from trust, I'm going to come out of it. From even the crisis, I'm still going to come out of that more balanced, more centered, and I'm going to be wiser. And so it's still going to progress me forward if I'm in trust and I'm trusting all that comes and unattached to outcomes. But it's from that surrender, that state of complete oneness with yourself.
Hmm. So,
Yeah.
and then on the contrary, then, so where do you feel like we people stop trusting? Like what happens typically in people's lives that you've noticed for yourself, perhaps, and or for your
Mhm.
clients? Where do people stop trusting?
When responsibility is put on someone else for how you feel or an
Mm-hmm.
outcome. Like, if I'm putting responsibility on life and all people and circumstances, people, places, and things in my life, if I'm putting responsibility on them for how I feel and expecting to feel balanced and centered because everybody else is doing everything the right way so that
Mm-hmm.
I can feel balanced and centered, trust isn't really going to be there. I'm always going to feel let down, which leads to kind of oh, I can't trust people. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
lets me down. Life lets me down. Life didn't do the right thing there. This happened
Mm-hmm.
in life. I felt bad and this happened to me. So I can't trust. But we're sourcing if we're sourcing trust in external, that doesn't it's the trust in self.
Mm-hmm.
So if I ever feel like untrusting, meaning, and I guess that would feel like anxiety, it would feel like worry,
Mm-hmm.
attachment to outcomes, then there's somewhere where I'm not taking responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
There's somewhere where I'm expecting, wanting, or not holding up my end of my own responsibility in my life
Mm-hmm.
because I
Yeah.
know that I can trust myself. I've found that and I know that. So if I'm going to abandon that, then back to the drawing board. Like there's more work to be done in
Mm-hmm.
self.
Yeah, and again, I know I say this quite frequently in these talks is that for me, the things didn't really change in life until I started to do the work on myself
Yeah.
and actually like sat with myself down, gave myself questions about, what does it take for me to step into my own potential? Like what does it
Mhm.
really take? What is it that I really want? And it's the basic
Mhm.
questions, right? But most of people, I feel like walking around without defining some of these questions for themselves and not necessarily being sure of where they want to go in life. And I feel like a lot of vagueness in life will just bring vague results. And so when we speak to trust, um, I feel like there has to be, maybe not has to, but there would needs to be some work done on one's part to find out, like who you are. Who are
Mhm.
you when you feel good? Who are you when you don't feel good? Who are you? Or how do you act when
Mhm.
when something, some crisis happen, right? It's like, can you reveal to yourself? That's to me, that's courage.
Mhm.
Like to be able to step into the role of like I take responsibility for my life and whatever happens, whether the big wave comes in or a small wave comes in, I'm gonna know
Mhm.
how to step or jump, how to, climb under or whatever it is, the how whatever situation requires for me to do. I'm
Mhm.
going to act appropriately. And then if you have that faith that you can rely on, knowing what it is that you're going to do,
Mhm.
you are in a state of trust, basically. And so for me, that's like, I know that I could be not trusting, and I do sometimes not trust. There's a bit of a back and forth sometimes, like
Mhm.
I know better, but at the same time, sometimes it feels like, yeah, I didn't really trust that situation. And so now I'm in this space mentally, emotionally, physically, where I don't feel good about myself or where I don't feel good about what happened or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And that's okay. Feel those feelings, feel those emotions, allow them to pass, and then ask yourself a question. Okay, so what could you do differently next time? And or like what did I learn from this? Because from each experience, obviously we're learning something. And so for me to trust means no matter what I'm learning, I'm going to learn something. Whether it's a
Yeah.
hard lesson or it's an
Right.
easy lesson, I'm going to learn
Mhm.
something. I trust there's a divine order that's orchestrating on my behalf with me, without me, in all ways.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and trust is built within ourselves. It's no different than learning to trust another human.
Hmm.
It's trial, and if we're gonna walk out onto a branch, what do we try it? Can we trust the branch? Well, how do you know? Well, you're gonna try it. Ice, is it frozen through? Like, so it needs to be tested and tried, and we find it through that self integrity, self accountability, self responsibility. To me, that's such a big part of it because we can't build and base our level of trust in ourselves on what happens with other people. Like, it's even when other things are involved, it's that baseline of with self. It's trust in ourselves to sit through a difficult time by ourselves without calling 10 friends or maybe busying ourselves or maybe, not that it's wrong to call friends, but like at some point there needs to be some inner sourced like check-in,
Hmm.
because otherwise then we're just going to bounce to something else and like, oh, well, what they said and then what they said, and well, what if three friends say three different things? Now what? You
Hmm.
know? Like, so it's got to be built within self, but it's done in the quiet. It's done in the stillness. It's done in the things that feel like failures that we kind of didn't really work out, or maybe we were trying to solve something or whatever, but there is no such thing. And sometimes we just learn how to nurture ourselves. Sometimes that's the only reason things happen. We were talking about that earlier. Like,
Hmm.
sometimes stuff happens and there's nothing to do except nurture ourselves and sort of get ourselves through it,
Yeah.
especially when it's with other people.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I love that you brought that in the sense of building it, so it's like
Hmm.
you're building the trust within yourself. So how do you build it? Obviously, you try, and then sometimes, a lot of times, perhaps you fail, but you're
Mm,
learning. There's always an experience. There's always an understanding and a lesson coming from everything that you experience.
yeah.
So our ability to retain the trust more is, I would say, also partially dependent on our ability to be open to experience life.
Yeah.
Yeah, just know that these are experiences, and stop protecting yourself so much. And this is one of the things that I even today, that when I was teaching my class, and because students are asking me, okay, so I'm noticing my shoulders are like so tense, and I'm like here, and then you tell me to relax, and I notice is like, oh yeah, I can relax them. And then, a few seconds later, they're back here. And it's like, and I say, what that is. It's just you're not trusting that you're going to be okay. For a lot of us, there's a lot of things that are on our shoulders, literally. Like there's so much weight in sense of thoughts, right? Responsibilities, and even a physical, obviously, responsibility, not just mentally responsible, and the
Mhm.
schedules to fulfill. And there's just a lot of happening in everybody's life, right? So
Mm.
that's what basically keeps us in tension. So we're staying tense with that stressful response, that viewpoint that we have about life, where we think that we have to protect ourselves, where we think that we have to manage our way out of every situation
Mm.
and every person's conversation, or that somehow somebody wants to attack us and we're never safe. And then living in that kind of a vibration is so damaging that we don't even see that. It's so insidious that it's
Mhm.
hidden. We don't realize we're doing that. And it's, I think it's a good idea for ourselves to have compassion for, especially for ourselves, and of course for everybody else, because we're all going through difficult things.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And that's the piece, that's the surrender. Like,
Hmm.
surrender is such a it's not like thrown in the towel and, okay, I give up. I give
Hmm.
up. I'm not doing anything. It's it's the opposite.
Mm,
My greatest strengths are from surrender, not from forcing and doing and like drive, 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 drive. I mean, yeah, as we get older, I guess we tend to, things do tend to slow, our workouts in the gym might change. Like we do things maybe, on a decline in some way, but that surrender is where the rubber meets the road. And the trust is built like when you can come through something and sit, and a tough thing that is, it's just, there's nothing to be done. It's emotion, it's feelings, it hits every part of the heart, and there's nothing anyone can say or do. And those moments when we sit, and when we're willing to just sit and just be with ourselves and support, and like not come up with something and make a plan, nothing, like nothing,
mhm, mhm,
just surrender it.
mhm,
Getting through that builds it. Like
mhm,
trust isn't built by doing more and having more success, another, certificate of achievement, another, degree on the wall. That's not what builds trust. What builds trust is sitting with oneself in the dark when shit has just hit this fan, and like, you know, the sky is falling. Okay.
mhm,
Well,
mhm,
all right, let's just hunker down and like let's just do this. If we're untrusting and not surrendered, we're in that brace of control or
mhm,
force, like we talked about last week, like,
mhm.
that either forcing something to happen or bracing for impact.
Yeah.
And that trust, which to me it's in there and synonymous with the love that we are, like it, like when we focus on the love that we are, the trust is just it's just a sort of natural occurrence is honestly the way I would describe it. That's how it's been for me. When you're there, I no longer think about how to guard myself and protect myself. Oh, okay, gosh, I'm going into this thing and it's usually stressful and whatever and might still be stressful. I
Hmm.
I go into a lot of dark things sometimes whether it's clients or different things. I mean, I touch areas that are really, dark, painful, crisis kind of things.
Hmm.
But in trust, the thought to protect myself, it doesn't even occur
Hmm.
when
Hmm.
I'm grounded in that
Hmm.
trust, okay, well, I'm big and strong and I can protect myself. So I'm going to trust and I'm not worried about going into a place where I might get attacked. No, doesn't, has nothing to do with that. It's
Hmm.
like, no, I'm strong enough to stand still. I'm strong enough to not fight anything back. I'm strong enough to just, allow myself to be moved. You don't go asking for trouble, of course. I'm not implying that, but the energy to trying to protect and trying to figure out how to protect from things that might happen maybe down the road, all that energy can just be turned right back into to love and focus on life.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of energy to do that, to live
Ta-
in
yeah.
protection.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. That's where, when I speak with my martial arts students, it's like if you're trying
Mhm.
to create more power and more speed in your movement with martial arts, it's very important that you stay loose, and that you stay
Mhm.
aware in a moment, because that's the only place where you can react fast enough. And that's the only moment that you can be fast enough to, you know, respond,
Mhm. Yep.
basically, in a sense. So if you're tense, you're going to be late actually to, do the block or move away or something if there is a strike coming or something like that.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
the same in life, I feel like there is a more we anticipate, more we are in that frequency. What you just spoke to literally is that the more we are in that frequency of anticipation and not being sure and obviously doubting really,
Mm.
then less you stand in a space of trust and a loving space, right? So, like you say, it's when you're in a consciousness of or a vibration of being in love with life,
Mhm.
being in love, just in a loving space, loving energy. Trust is. That's just what is at that moment. That's the vibration in which you are. So love and trust
Mhm.
are almost like you were saying, kind of synonymous in a sense.
Mm. Yeah.
And yeah, because if you're in a loving space that you trust that there is some higher power that is navigating you, and yes, you're gonna be perhaps going through all sorts of difficulties, and then perhaps you're gonna be going through some fun things as well. But in the end, it doesn't necessarily matter. It's the experience that counts and what you learn from it. And we cannot learn and actually retain what we have learned unless we are in the space of trusting that things are
Mhm.
happening for me. Because if you
Yeah.
are out of the space of trust, really, I feel then we are in a space of um, doubting, fearing, feeling guilty about something, and
Yeah.
lacking, and all that kind of energy. That's all just a low
Mhm.
frequency. Not wrong again. It's just not maybe something that is in a moment necessarily an advantage to you, right?
Yeah.
Not saying that from low energies there isn't something to learn. Like I said before,
Of
we go
course.
through difficulties, things happen, life gets hard, yes, but there's always something to learn. And that bit, that there's always something to learn from difficult things, from fun things, from anything really,
Mhm.
to me, that symbolizes the trust. That I
Love
trust that there
that.
is going to be something why I'm learning this, that I am actually learning this, whatever this is. So that's this experience, that situation.
Yeah, it's like you're trusting in the highest outcome already, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that surrender balance, that's about allowing and receiving. Lack of trust is chasing, getting, grabbing, controlling. We would we would have to control. If we're
Yeah.
not trusting and we're fearing outcomes, well, I mean, it's math. We have to control because how else are we possibly going to not go completely insane, right? And so it's like trusting the vehicle, the vessel that we are and the flow of higher energy. It's like when we're driving a car, we're in the car and we press the gas pedal to move forward. And however much we press it, that's how the car moves because it's in gear and we press the gas pedal. If we sit up like this, the car doesn't go faster. If we move our body forward, like I need to get there faster, the car's not going to go faster unless we. So it's like we trust this is how the vehicle moves, this is how it works.
Hmm.
And so if we trust that our life, the universe, God, source energy
Hmm.
is the fuel, the gas pedal is our intention. That is our intention to trust, is
Hmm.
us applying our foot on the gas.
Hmm.
And then we trust ourselves to know how long it's going to take us to get from one destination to the other. So then we know we show up on time or we get to the movie at the time it's planned, whatever we're doing. We trust it because we trust ourselves to know whether it's a literal thing like time and making an appointment or whatever, but it it's like trust, surrender, allow, and receive rather than project in fear of outcomes. Sit and trust and receive outcomes. It's a whole different that's a whole different scenario. I mean, the whole body feels different if
Yeah.
you to think of
Right.
it that way.
Right. Like it's
And
not forceful.
no.
Right.
And it's not, again, it's not surrender like, okay, I'm just going to sit and trust and not do it. No, like
Hmm.
you trust your knowing of what you need to do. Maybe you have a dream of doing something and maybe you need some schooling. Okay, so you need to go get a degree, to do that job.
Hmm.
Okay. You're trusting the initial desire of the soul, of the heart that came. You're
Hmm.
trusting the way it feels because you know what a yes is and what a no is. We all
Hmm.
do.
Hmm.
Many of us walk around and we don't, "Well, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know." Well, once you find that and you know that it's yours and feeling good and following that is your next step into everything, trust becomes easier the more that we trust it.
Hmm. Yeah, the
Yeah.
more than we are in alignment with the idea that there is something else that's pushing this world into action. The world that we're
Yeah.
living, the earth
Right.
spins, it hurls around the sun, right? The
Mhm.
sun is moving around the galaxy. We're, hurling in space. It's constantly moving. Something is constantly moving this space of dirt
Yeah.
on which we are living as a
Mhm.
human beings. And so, the nature is growing the trees. The seed falls into the ground, some spurs something, whatever that seed was, and so life is happening
Yeah.
all the time. Can I trust that it's going to continue to happen? Well, yeah. I mean, there we have evidence in some sense for billions probably of years at this point, as far as the
Mhm.
scientists are concerned, anyway. And probably longer than that, but I don't really know. So, but we have a lot of evidence that things are happening, and so we don't have to per se manage,
Mhm.
how the earth is going to be spun. We don't have to manage how the soil is going to be growing whatever that we put in there, right? We put
Right.
in there, we water it, and if it rains on
Mhm.
it, whatever happens, and something grows, right?
Yeah.
Granted, yeah, we can be organized about it. For instance,
Mhm.
if we want to grow certain amount of certain things and certain amount of things, we could be organized about it and we make it happen. But it is happening. Same way that the nails are growing on the human body, cells are changing every few moments, right? Every moment, all
Mhm.
the time. The hair is growing or whatever, right? So
Mhm. Yeah.
things are always in progress. Can I trust that there is some divine power that is orchestrating life? And that's, I feel like, where I feel like it's easiest to begin to put yourself into that space of trusting that something is going to transpire that's going to be for me
Mhm.
versus I have to manage it somehow so it happens for me, so it's better for me. No, it's on the contrary, like you said, it's surrendering and energy. And I want to speak briefly to when you say being in the being in still in space, right? So most of us are so quick to, pick up our phone and get on our computer and talk to somebody, call somebody. We cannot, for some reason, be alone and quiet for long enough to
Mhm.
truly hear, to truly feel life happening around us. Again, this
Mhm.
speaks to presence that we've spoken about before, but again, can I be in that space of trusting that if I am
Mhm.
quiet, I'm not going to wither away, I'm not going
Yeah.
to die, nothing bad's gonna happen. Can I just be for a moment
Mhm.
and make those pauses longer during the day? I
Yeah.
really encourage everybody out there. It's like, it's really called meditation in my world anyway. But if you
Mhm.
put yourself in that space of just like
Yeah.
sit, some people don't like the word meditation because of what it implies to sit.
Mm.
It's boring,
I
etc.
know it's a big scary word.
But
Yeah.
it's very scary. We should be afraid, very afraid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just sitting, and
Yeah.
so much wisdom comes from being quiet. We wouldn't realize that
Mhm.
a lot of actually people who are already very successful, they know that in quietude
Yeah.
where comes most wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, in my first ask um to someone, and the way I sort of found it within myself was to trust myself that I was a good resource for whatever I was avoiding and running from. So whatever I'm busying myself about, that
Hmm.
whether I don't want to face it or I don't know what to do, or I need
Hmm.
to either keep myself busy in avoidance or endlessly reach out to get opinions of others. What is it that I don't trust myself as a resource to this?
Hmm.
Is it true? Am I facing something that I really don't have knowledge for? If so, can I trust myself to resource it to someone that is, can I practice discernment? Am I going to just, reach for anything? Is just anybody better than me as a resource? And sometimes in that moment of that inquiry, for I've seen many people like light bulbs go on
Hmm.
because just that thought and like simplifying it, why are you not worthy? I would say to someone,
Hmm.
what is it about you that isn't worthy to sit and contemplate this matter that you're facing?
Hmm.
Not solve, not
Hmm.
fix, not come to the end of the figuring out of everything.
Hmm.
Not even that. Just consulting. Just start there. Like, it doesn't have to be the big, like, well, no, I don't have knowledge and I don't know that. Okay, but can you consult yourself about where you're going to go next to get the knowledge? Or are you just going to take anything? Which comes to worthiness, valuing oneself. Are you worthy of it? I say that to myself all the time, because like when I write and I'm in research on something, there comes a time where it's me writing. There's a time for research. I love to add quotes in of all of my teachers. They're very inspiring and sometimes they inspire pages. But done too much, then I'm speaking off of that inspiration. That's it's okay, but don't forget about our own inspiration. Don't forget about what we already have as a resource within ourselves. And I mean, I would be as bold as to say that I would guarantee to anyone that sat before me that you're a lot more resourceful than you think you are.
Hmm.
And you're a much higher resource than you think. Like
Hmm.
you might be the right person for this job of contemplation on this topic. Yeah, you might have to call in help. Sure, of course. But we should be our first stop, then move forward. Like before I go to a doctor, I assess what my symptoms are by my own. I don't go ask somebody else what my symptoms are.
Mhm.
I'm going to assess how I feel and then decide, okay, well, might just need my primary. Well, yeah, we might need a specialist because, you felt like that the other day.
Mhm.
And so for anything else external, we can consult ourselves and just start there a little bit. Reach in. I suggest that people say, well, yeah, I'm in this contemplative state about something, so I'm going to go rent a cabin and stay there and not have any electricity, or I'm not going to look at my phone and I'm just going to lock myself away for a weekend until I figure this out. Well, no, maybe just take a half hour and sit still or go for a walk. You know, like it doesn't have to be extreme,
Yeah.
but we can offer ourselves that time.
Yeah, I think that's so important, and thank you for saying that, noting that as well. Is that yeah, you could go to a cabin for days and days on, and spend it in the darkness and not have any devices with you. It's also I recommend trying it out because you will learn a lot
Hmm.
about yourself.
Yeah.
And as scary as it may sound, part of you that feels scared about that kind of thought to be quiet on your own,
Hmm.
the fear comes from the mind. The very thing that is creating that
Hmm.
fear is the one
Yeah.
that fears its demise, in a sense.
Mhm.
Because in some
Exactly.
sense, obviously, the mind is just a construct. It's a mental construct of our, psyche, obviously, our brain's
Hmm.
protective mechanism. But the mind seems to fear that it is not real, or perhaps it knows it's not real. There's that low underlying fear where something might happen if we are too quiet, if we are too quiet for too long, that we would
Mm.
not survive it. And so it is true in a sense that what would not survive it is part of the mind, part of the construct would die. And
Yep.
this is really where the healing actually happens. The healing actually happens in that pause, in that quiet time, in that space where you allow to perceive, like, who are you? Who did you come here to be?
Yeah.
What did you
Yeah.
come here to do?
Hmm.
So there had to have been some sort of a part of your being, your consciousness, your awareness saying that I want to learn about this and this. And I'm going to go to this Earth school called Earth. And a lot of souls seems to be going there. It seems pretty hype and seems pretty popular. And let me go. And then you get there, and then you're like, "What a shit show! What the hell are people doing in here?" You know?
Yeah. Turn
And
back.
right, and the soul then ends up going like, retract, retract, eject. It's like, can I go back to the light, right? Because
Yep.
again, you can, and you can do that here. You can do that anywhere, whether you're present in a physical body or you're not in a physical body. The
Yeah.
presence, you are constantly there. The constant presence, love, trust, abundance. We've talked about this again before. I like to reiterate things. Is there all the time.
Hmm.
It's like when we're not perceiving any of these, like health is abundant all the time. The
Hmm.
cells are regenerating. If you're lacking health,
Yeah.
where in your mind is a construct that tells you that there is lack of health?
Hmm.
And obviously, you're seeing some evidence for lack of health. And in
Hmm.
the chronic illness that we have, or we oftentimes give, what do we give the term chronic to? Something that keeps repeating, right?
Yeah.
And so if something is repeating, but sometimes it's not repeating, and then sometimes it's repeating again, and sometimes it's not repeating, is it still chronic? It's like it doesn't make sense. Like to me, in
Yeah.
my mind, it really actually doesn't make sense. Yes, I may
Yeah.
have a back pain today or neck pain today, and I may
Hmm.
have it tomorrow. I may have it the day after that, and then it may go away a little bit and maybe subsides all the way. Maybe it'll come back again. Doesn't mean it's chronic. And if we call something that is chronic, we're giving it a label, and we are now creating something out of nothing, literally making that reality in our minds
Hmm.
about our like
Yep.
we're setting ourselves for that kind of thing. Like it's just pain. Okay, it will go away eventually, you know.
Yep. Yes. Well, that's, I mean, the only suffering is of the mind,
Yeah,
because only thoughts are suffering. Suffering
yeah,
is not the pain.
yeah,
That's temporary. And it's quick. Pain
yeah,
is quick.
yeah. And sometimes
It's
pain is
not
long hanging around, but still,
everlasting. Right.
yeah,
It's like surface, like even internal, it's still surface. Suffering is like the soul. Like that feels just so much deeper. And but because it's the mind, and it's a trickster, and it moves and ebbs and flows. It's not like pain is, okay, I broke my finger. So my finger hurts. There's pain in my finger because I broke it. It's direct. I know where it is. I know why. There it is. Suffering is thoughts that are weaving and changing and moving, and they never stay still, they never stay the same. So it's not just the finger. It's over here, it's there, it's all encompassing.
hmm
And even in it, we can think about whatever we want to think about. It's not denial. It's okay, something upsetting happened. Okay, I'm feeling low today. All right. Let me just find something that made me laugh. I don't know. Think little. Like life transformed, and act as if you never were upset. Like it
hmm
can happen within it, but we can just choose another thought, and little by little it'll pivot. And then the pain might still be there, but with the suffering gone, the pain is very treatable.
hmm
It's treatable because we can get it, but when we're suffering with our thoughts, that's on top of the source of the pain that happened. So we can't get to the source of the pain to heal it, to nurture it, to offer medicine to it, whatever that might be. We can't do that because the suffering is a wall. It
hmm
it blocks us from healing the source, and
Yeah,
it'll keep. Soon as we think, "Oh, no, it'll come up with another if we let it, if we're on that frequency."
yeah. It's that resistance itself.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Yeah, which
resistance
is
to
disease. Yeah.
exactly. It's the resistance to the pain. It's like I shouldn't feel pain. It's
Yeah.
like you're human. Last time I checked, so you're gonna feel pain.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
just like given, right?
Yeah.
But the resisting factor is where the suffering happens. Like, okay, I have pain. All right, I'm gonna sit with the pain. Okay,
Mhm.
maybe I'll get some, drug so to numb down the pain a little bit so I can handle it.
Mhm.
Whatever it
Yeah.
takes, right? But the pain will
Right.
go away eventually. It'll
Mhm.
subside eventually because, like I said, body constantly tries to heal.
Mhm. Mhm.
Constantly. There's no stopping of the cell's regeneration. Once the cells stop regenerating, the body starts dying, basically. So you're dying.
Right.
I mean, that's a different scenario, sure.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
again, the cells are like, recreating every like moment, right? Every
Yeah.
second or something. There's
Mhm.
new cells, right? So in
Yeah.
that sense, you're always healed. And
Mhm.
if you're not, there has to be some sort of a mental construct that's preventing that healing from happening. That really is to me like what's happening with our sickness and illness and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So again,
Right.
I'm out of trusting in that sense. Like if
Mhm.
I'm in some sort of pain suffering rather, then I'm out of trusting. And so
Mhm.
what does it take to get back into that space of trust? A lot
Yeah.
of times it's, finding something to appreciate, finding something to care for,
Mhm.
finding something to be grateful for. There are several ways to enter into this space of trust.
Yep.
These are a few.
Yeah, gratitude is the biggest, broadest, widest open door. Like to me, that's the quickest route,
Yeah.
is gratitude, because it automatically places you in that trusting state of love. And I love your point about pain, and physical pain, and medicine. And it made me think of a time that I had had a surgery,
hmm
and I was very like I didn't want to take a lot medications.
hmm
And so I was like fighting through it. And this is in the first days after. I was still in the hospital. A nurse came in and she says, "Well, let me explain to you." She used this term of getting behind the pain.
Mm,
She says, "In this time, you just had the surgery performed. So in this time, your body has just had this traumatic event. And so temporarily, not long, but temporarily, trying to not take the medication at the dosage time, you're going to be in more pain and catching up to it. So you might try to skip a couple doses because you're trying not to take, but later on tonight, you're going to be in so much pain, you're going to need more medicine to even touch the pain that you're in because
mhm,
you got behind it." But
mhm,
it was temporary. It wasn't, yeah, just commit to being on this medication for the next 20 years of your life. No,
mhm.
you'll come through it, but there's a time when the body needs some help.
Yeah,
The body needs some outside help sometimes. It's not
yeah.
always the case, but when it is, but when we trust our body to heal, we can do things for it and we can say, "Okay, yep, this is what I need to do. And I'm trustworthy enough to choose doctors that I trust. Okay, I'm
Mhm,
going to listen to the doctor.
mhm,
If I'm going to trust an accountant that I asked to have do my taxes because I want them done right. So I'm going
mhm,
to trust myself to find somebody that's good to do the job that I need done, that I do need to outsource. I can't do myself.
mhm.
But if I don't have that baseline of trust in myself, those decisions are not going to, they might be okay, but they're certainly not going to turn out in my highest ultimate outcome. I'm
Mhm.
gonna probably have to take a couple more steps, or I'm probably gonna get presented with the same thing again. Yeah, so that I
Yeah. So that you could learn a
it's gonna
lesson.
swing yeah, it's gonna swing back around again. Don't worry. Don't worry if you don't get it this time. It'll come
It'll
don't
come
you
back
worry.
again.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. And I like the point that you're bringing out. Yes, it sometimes is important, and the point that I brought also with the drugs. Sometimes it's important to have that. I'm not a drug taker myself. I know
Mhm.
so for some people it works. They find it efficient to take a drug so they can keep functioning and stuff. Um, to me, that's one of the ways to also numb myself to continue with the craziness of the mind. So to me, it's more about feel the discomfort and learn to be okay with that level of discomfort. And this is how you build the threshold. Sometimes some people will have a little bit, higher pain tolerance than others.
Mhm.
And that's all, it is what it is, right? But to me, like we built the pain tolerance by practice.
Yes.
So as we practice through, like when I started first taking cold showers, that wasn't necessarily something that I wanted to go repeat. It was very uncomfortable, let's just say,
Mhm.
right? But I did it anyway. And so, because I recognize that if I choose to practice something, let me rephrase that. When I practice something, we choosing to practice something or not, we're practicing it anyway, right? So if you're,
Mhm. Yeah.
like I was pointing out before, it's like if you're sitting on a couch, that's what you're practicing. No judgment, just is what it is, but that's
Yeah.
what you're practicing. If you practice that you are always in a turmoil of situations at work or a life,
Mhm.
because you're always busy, that's what you're practicing. You're learning how to be busy.
Yeah.
And then that's what's going to stick, right? If you're practicing being mindful and thoughtful about everything, that's what you're practicing, right? So whatever you're doing, that's what you're practicing.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
choose carefully what it is that you want to practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that sense.
Yeah.
So I feel like when we talk about the trusting and then where it comes from, it really is to me that's completely divine. And I have
Mhm.
nothing that I actually like have to do. It happens.
Yeah.
And back to like it happens in the when we notice that trusting is like that's a natural place to be
Mhm.
trusting. I'm not saying that yeah, if there's a you're walking through somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you're hiking and there's a
Mhm.
cougar over there. I
Yeah.
mean, you might want to use your logic to get out of that because now already you're in a predicament, right? So I'm not saying just go into your meditation and then
Here, kitty, kitty. Yeah, no.
let the cougar leave. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that might be stupid to do something like that, right? You might lose your life over that. So not saying that, but if something like that happens, obviously
Mm,
we place ourselves into these situations for a reason every time, whether that's whether that's karmic, whether that's some sort of other divine providence. We're always exactly where we need to be to learn exactly what we needed to learn. Okay. At least to me, it feels that way. That not saying again that we don't have a choice about going different places and choosing different
mhm.
things. Yes, absolutely. That's a
Yeah,
free will, right? So it's
right, right. Of
not no brainer. I'm not
course.
questioning
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
But being in that state where you can trust that whatever is happening and transpiring, that let's say if there was a cougar, let's say that I trust that I can outrun this thing or I can hide from this thing or I can whatever, right? So I can,
Yeah.
protect myself somehow or
Hmm.
whatever. So being in that space of, okay, well, this was placed into my vicinity. I must be trusted that I can deal with this. Okay, well, let me figure out how to deal with this.
Hmm.
So again, I'm not saying just trust, just be, you got
Right.
maybe, I mean, and maybe, so there are maybe
Hmm.
situations for that as well. Like if you're bound to a bed and you can't move much, you may have to meditate a lot because you can't do anything else, right? Physically.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the limitations that we believe in are the only blocks to trusting. It's only if we believe that we're limited. I mean, why? I wish I could remember his name. The guy, he was born, he doesn't have any legs or arms. And he's
oh,
um
yes, yes, yes.
and but he's just magnificent.
Yeah, he's a
And
speaker. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, he
like
did like
literally,
TEDx bunch of times. Yeah.
yeah. Like, and I've seen him when he's brought on stage, I've seen him come like from the audience sitting with he's got a gorgeous, beautiful wife, beautiful children. I mean, like,
Hmm.
the whole everything. And he doesn't have arms or legs.
Hmm. It's crazy.
Like, I mean, if that doesn't put things in perspective,
Hmm.
that's the power of trust, alignment. I mean, you have to trust in something bigger, and we all have varying degrees of things, whether it be big dreams that we have and purposes and desires that we wish to fulfill, and we just can't even imagine the how. Well, we're not supposed to imagine the how. All we need to know is our why, and God, the universe takes care of the how. Like, focus off the how. That's gonna come. Like, you'll know, like, and you do this, everything will come. But it's from the why, and trust in yourself to answer the why. That's all we're here to do.
Yeah.
'Cause the trust places us in the loving state, which is that's why we're here. We all come here to transform things to and back into love. And the things that we meet are the things that, we're to be healers and teachers of the things that hurt us the most. So,
Hmm.
the relationships that are always the same, or the problem that you just always continually seem to have within your family, whatever it is, that's it.
Yeah.
Heal that. There's your
Yeah.
purpose in some way, and you're free then,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Our
then there's no
families.
limits.
Exactly. I feel like our families are the actual school here on Earth. Like
Yes.
that, those are the people that we have all the healing to do
Yeah.
with, and
Because 'cause we're gonna pay attention
yeah,
more.
yes.
If it's just an acquaintance and there's a fallout or somebody says something to you, it's like, okay, like, I don't really know
Right.
you, but okay." Like, they just walk up
Right.
to you and said, "You're a stupid fool." "Oh, okay, well, alright," whatever. But, if a family member says something hurtful,
Yeah.
hopefully they're not gonna say that, but, we're gonna
Maybe.
pay attention because it's our family.
Yeah.
We're gonna be more apt to figure it out, to lean into it, to want a
Yeah.
solution. We're not gonna put effort into a solution with an acquaintance.
Yeah.
So the big things are gonna happen with family.
Yeah.
Like, that's why.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. And so again, I want to end it on the note of consider that you might have trusted uh, your soul to pick the people that are in your family for a great reason. May not be an easy one to swallow. I know that there was
Well said. Hmm.
I know that there was things to come to mind from Wayne Dyer when he was talking about his daughter Serena, who was giving him hard time throughout his life, kind of thing.
Hmm.
And he said to her at one point, stop blaming me for everything as your parent, and start taking responsibility for who you chose your dad to be. And he says, she told him, run that one by me again. Your soul picked me as your father,
Yep.
so start taking responsibility for what you
Yep.
did.
I love it when he talks about
And the
that.
response from her came back as, I don't know what I was thinking. I must have been in a hurry or something like that. He said that she said. But
Yep.
anyway, so yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
our soul knows, the reason that we're picking these particular people in our
Yeah.
family.
Hmm.
We are in on our karmic journey with these people, with these souls, with these
Hmm.
beings. And it's not about staying away from them. It's not about not talking with them. It's not about just meeting for holidays and talk silly things like the
Hmm.
mundane conversations. It's
Right.
not about that. It's about having deep conversation with these people because this is where our karmic lessons lie. So that's the most important part of this life. This is
Hmm.
the most important lessons with the family.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And sometimes the really hard things that happen, like the crisis points, the most painful things that happen within the family, they happen because that's what blows the door open so that
mm,
everybody stops and sits down and maybe has a conversation. Maybe not even about that crisis point, but that crisis may have come
yeah,
so that other conversations happen.
yeah,
Maybe someone passes, and so that turns into a conversation about, what mom and dad or grandma want. What are their last wishes? Whatever it might be. But
yeah.
the conversations maybe that we avoid because they're uncomfortable or because there's conflict, lean into the crisis and just, like if we just ask, all right, well, what could this be opening up?
Mhm,
Trust it that it's opening up and trust yourself to discern and we'll get answers
mhm,
always.
mhm.
Yeah.
Beautiful said. Yeah, thank you for saying that. So thank you everybody
Mm,
for listening in again. Always pleasure to have a chat with Tammy. Thank you for being here
mhm.
again. Really
Thank you.
appreciate your wisdom and communication that comes through.
Mhm.
And then for those of you who are watching, and thank you for staying, and I'll look forward to seeing you again next time. Until
Yes.
then, staying awake and aware as
Mm,
always, and take good care of you all.
yes.
Thank you again so much for joining us. As usual, please hit like, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you'd like to hear about when the new episode is released. And we will look forward to seeing you again next time. Until then, take good care of you as usually. Stay awake, stay aware.